Hello, neighbor. I'm Robert Burns, and welcome once again to another edition of Sound Off Louisiana. And as you can tell, I have Mr. Billy Broussard here. And you folks may remember only a few days ago we came to you and said that he would be having a court hearing involving Trooper Scott Lopez, and I was away in Houston. But Billy, I'm told that that Judge Pittman was very complimentary of your courtroom acumen, and why don't you just give us a quick little rundown of that, and we'll move into what our focus is for today's segment. You want to say a few words of how the court hearing of a few days ago went?
It went well. What I'm very happy to note is the Judge Pittman, in this case, he let everyone know that he does read, the motions or the whatever you put before him. He reads all that, opposition memorandums, etc. So him reading all that makes a big difference. Me and you've had conversations in the past that some judges, they don't read anything. You go before them and you just gotta, go from there. But I was very happy to know, and yes, he did compliment me, saying I'm just doing a good job representing myself. I mean, it's not so much a choice, but it's just something. Sometimes you gotta just do what you gotta do, and that's But it went well, and I'm happy about the turnout. And
it's my understanding that the result, just so everyone knows, the judge did grant the motion to compel, and so all you have to do is provide us a list of your vehicles, which not even including serial numbers. So it'll be very easy just to itemize the make and model. And he did award what I would have to say is a bare minimum. It was $250 to cover Mr. Hike's cost of coming in and having to pursue this motion to compel. That's one of the lowest awards I've ever heard. So I think that you can take that as a moral victory. They say, sometimes when you come real close in a football game. But the point is he's just emphasized, the judge made it a point to let everybody know, I read these things. Yes. So let's transition on into the next court hearing, which will be on February the 15th. And that entails and again, this was originally scheduled to be heard back around December 9th, but it had to be reset because Judge Hamilton also was the original judge in this case, and he had to recuse himself. We're talking about Mob Boss case. So this is Billy Broussard versus Mindy Gerard and Melissa Dubrock. And what's on tap? It is a peremptory exception of no cause of action. And we're going to give you the link for when we covered that in more detail back in mid-November. So we're not going to rehash all of that, but you can go to that link. We did that feature when it was believed that it would take place on December the 9th. We're now up to mid-February, so we're kind of updating everyone. But what I do want to draw some attention to is let's just remind everyone of the nature of the folk that we're dealing with, because I believe this has been viewed as fun and games. We've already shown you in one of the last videos Benjamin Lopez driving by and said, I hope you got a good picture.
I hope you got a good picture.
Well, let's break away for just a moment and see Miss Mindy Mob Boss Gerard as she laughs as she's discussing with Deputy Matthew Alexander about her belief, which can only have been obtained from Scott Lopez, that you committed aggravated assault. We'll be right back.
I understand that he's supposed to have a warrant out for him. It's supposed to be signed this morning for aggravated assault and obstruction of a roadway. So I don't know how far that went, but because he got out in the middle of the street and was threatening to harm somebody. Yeah, for taking pictures of him in his...
All righty, as you can see, I believe Miss Mindy Mob Boss Gerard thought this was all kind of fun and games and getting a lot of giggling out of it. And let's make another notation here. I'm getting some vibes that Parish President Chester Cedars is now wanting to put some distance between his name and the folks that are all involved in that. Would you care to elaborate a little bit, Mr. Broussard?
Well, I have to say, about a week ago, I had a meeting with him, a very good meeting, went very well. In the meeting, he mentioned, he said, despite what you may hear from individuals, I don't get involved in little, I think the way he explained it, like little neighborhood spats. I don't get involved in all that. And You know, we've heard in the past so often where different ones claiming, well, Justice Cedars said this, Justice Cedars said to do that. You can verify this with Justice Cedars. So,
well, I'm not to interrupt you, but I'm glad you said that, because we just broke away. See Mindy, you know, making the outlandish allegation that you had committed aggravated assault. Let's break away for just a moment and let's see just how much they want to put Chester's or Mr. Cedars' name on prominent display. You're going to see both Mindy Gerard talking about going to court and him saying to call about the nuisance file, and then you're going to see Miss Melissa Dubrock's husband, Blake, say that, hey, as soon as Chester's got this order in front of us, as soon as it gets signed, you can verify this with Mr. Cedars, or Popcorn, as he calls him, Mr. Calder, Pop Aberry, Nick's name's in Popcorn. Let's break away and see how willing they are to throw around the name of Chester Cedars. We'll be right back.
Good, how you doing?
You have to death.
Yeah?
Yeah, oh yeah.
How you doing? I'm
Good.
Corporal Alexander.
How are you?
Nice to meet you.
On Tuesday, we went to court with Mr. Cedars against Millie Broussard.
Yes, ma'am.
I spoke to Mr. Cedars, so he said, yes, ma'am, I understand. Well, the truck's been there. I've been taking pictures of it being there. Talked to Mr. Cedars that afternoon, Tuesday afternoon, and he said anytime anybody in the neighborhood sees the dump truck there, we're supposed to call and make a complaint, and then they'll go from there with it. So I don't know where we need to go from here with Mr. Cedars.
I think it would be more on a civil, because I believe the injunction is dealing with a civil issue more than criminal.
Okay.
So I don't know how that would work with trespassing on his own property.
Right, right.
So that would be more of a civil issue than a criminal issue.
Okay, okay.
Bring it to Mr. Cedars and see where y'all go from there.
Okay.
Hello, this is Deputy Romero, the Seymour Parish Sheriff's Office.
Yes, sir.
You had called in a complaint?
Yes, sir. About Broussard dumping is in the dirt pit on the old sawmill property. And was told not to do it. Just he just got a lawsuit against him. They fixing to serve him Monday morning. They said with a restraining order. Since he don't listen, they're gonna have a restraining order to where he can't even go on his own property. And if he does, he's going straight to jail. So all this is gonna happen Monday morning. But till then, they said he can give citations, and that'll lead up to his arrest. Everybody knows about it. You can check with the parish. You can check with Popcorn. You can check with with Chester Cedars. They all know.
Yeah.
All right, as you have seen, even though Mr. Cedars now wants to make it clear that his name shouldn't be associated with this little neighborhood group, but excuse me, I certainly can't blame Mr. Cedars. I've been wondering myself why he would want such an association, and I think there's probably no better way to demonstrate that than for us to break away once again, because I seem to vaguely, I vaguely remember St. Martin Parish Deputy County being called off, and I believe the words were, you better have those cuffs ready because I'm going to cross the street and beat the F out of her. Let's break away for just a moment. We'll be right back.
No,
working that
you heard gunshots?
Yeah.
It's probably the bitch across the street calling because let me tell you why. It's because the bitch sitting across the street looking over here right now is his ex-fucking wife starting shit.
Hey. He's probably aggravated.
What's your,
No, it's
what's your
his
phone number?
ex-wife across. Look, she's sitting in that fucking chair looking over here.
Hold on, Mom. What you said?
337?
Let me ask you this: what charge would I get if I run across the street and beat the fuck out of somebody?
Oh yeah, that's
just battery, right?
Nah, you got to go to jail for that.
Oh no, I'm good with going to jail for that. But what is the charge for? Just battery, right?
Look.
That's just battery?
Go relax yourself, man.
I tried, but how when the bitch is sitting in her lawn chair looking at me?
All right.
She testing me.
Look. Get your hands registered.
Don't keep go picking with them people. I don't want to have to come back out here.
Wait, I'm gonna tell you, she keep picking. You better get them cuffs ready for me.
Listen, don't do that.
All right, having seen that, I think most everyone, I would hope every single viewer would say, I really don't want my name closely associated with that type situation, and I can hardly fault Parish President Cedars for having those sentiments. Would you like to elaborate a little, Mr. Broussard?
Yeah, I mean, if you go through and watch some of those body cam, those videos that you reported on actually prior, that all had to do with a court hearing that didn't go their way. So, you know, it's interesting us, you know, having this hearing this next Wednesday. If things don't go their way there, how they're going to digest that. So
exactly. And so let me say this as we start to wrap this feature up. We're going to give the video of Mindy Mob Boss Gerard on or about March the 2nd in front of the full council hearing. That's going to be a separate video beneath this one where she presented a petition ostensibly signed by, as she said, 66 signatures so far. Well, let me, as we wrap this up, you just recently met with officials at Sheriff Beckett Bro's office. It's my understanding you did with regard to this petition. You have filed a formal complaint that stresses the fact that there's compelling evidence to suggest that forgeries took place here. There were numerous other notary problems, and we're going to provide the direct link to the complaint that you filed with the sheriff's office. But I want to emphasize two quick things. We'll have Mr. Broussard elaborate. But number one, you did so at the direct advice of District Attorney Bo Duay. Secondly, Mr. Duay himself committed to you that he will be sending a letter to the Secretary of State's office saying that Miss Melissa Dubrock is in need of remedial training where it comes to notary acts. And also he said, look, if you really believe there were forgeries here, and I think there's pretty compelling evidence that there are forgeries, and I'm going to have Mr. Broussard elaborate, because signatory number 53, who happens to be Julie and Dr. Gannon Watts. Dr. Watts has a contractual relationship with District Attorney Bowe's office, and you have some severe reservations about that particular signatory. Let me let you elaborate on that, and then we're going to cover a few of the other things that I see were itemized in your complaint. So you take it away, Mr. Broussard. Tell us how that correspondence went with sheriff's officials earlier.
Well, we visited, I pointed out some things. It just so happens that particular signature caught my eye, because I know it was in December when they started this petition, but this is not a Christmas card. This is a petition, you know, that was given to the government and notarized, and everyone, I believe that whoever would have signed that, you know, would have taken that in consideration. And then someone just writing a name and didn't even spell it right. I have to say, I never had the pleasure of meeting Dr. Watts yet, but he is one of my back right corner neighbors. He has one of the nicest and probably most expensive properties in the area, and I've taken that in consideration as I develop my property. Beautiful place, but when I seen that, it stuck out, that who would just write a name,
just the first name, yeah.
First name,
Gannon and Julie, as if we all know who they are.
Right. But they have their address on the side of it. So I looked up the address, figuring out, well, who's this? Well, it just so happens to be the doctor that works for Bo Dewey's office. That's, like I said, on the back right side of my property, a neighbor. So,
and we're going to, not to interrupt you, but very quickly, we're going to give a link to his property. Folk, if you have never seen, oh yeah, if you have never seen elegance, wait till you see the interior photos from the Zillow profile of this property. We are talking immaculate. We're talking, you know, I believe the purchase price may have been $600,000, $700,000. So this property will stick out in the entire subdivision. You go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I just want to let everybody know.
And in saying that, I have to say that as I'm developing my property, like I said earlier, I keep that in mind, and I've actually left him a buffer for his own privacy. There's some work that I want to do in that back corner, but I can provide you pictures to show what, from his back property line, if he looked over his fence over onto my property, how beautiful it is. It's really nice. That's where we like, when I go with the kids and all, that's the area we like to hang out a lot, you know. So it's a lot different than having a car lot on the side of you with flags and cars everywhere and traffic, people pulling, you know, stopping in the street to look at cars. I mean, it's in the back by the nice ponds, etc. So that's the area we like to hang out. But in regards to supposedly the signature, it's just, it was written out, the first names, Gannon and Julie, no last name. Whoever wrote that, I pointed out to the sheriff's office, the same person that wrote the first Gannon and Julie it's the same exact handwriting, same.
Exactly.
So no doctor would have just wrote his first name and his wife's name, you know, when it's supposed to be a signature as a petition to be given to the government. He works for the government. There's no way he would have done that. So, you know, I doubt, upon information and belief, there's no way he did it, and I don't believe his wife would have done that. So, and they misspelled. I mean, a doctor, he would know how to spell.
They got to know how to spell the first name.
So they wrote it.
Whether it's him or his wife.
Him or his wife. If either one, there's no way either one of them would have misspelled and had to try to go back and fix the spelling. So that really stuck out to me. So then doing some research and realizing, I mean, this guy has more initials behind his name than I've ever seen. He must be a very educated guy. So, like I told Mr. D.A. Beaudoux, I said, there's no way that this gentleman, that's his signature. So that's what really got my attention about that.
Well, and let me just say this. That's the biggest glaring thing that he saw. But let me point out a few other things. Just going to itemize them. We have Melissa Dubrock serving as both a principal and as the notary. She's principal signatory 16. We will once again give a link for this infamous petition. She served as signatory 16. She also notarized the entire document. That's why Beaudoux has said he will draft a letter to the Secretary of State's office saying she needs remedial training. She did the same thing for her immediate family members, so you have a number of signatures that are clearly not valid. And we know that she didn't witness a lot of these signatures. How do we know that? We have reliable sources that have let us know that that petition sat at Trooper Scott Lopez's home for days, with people wondering, oh, where do I go to sign? Oh, it's at Trooper Lopez's home. Just swing by. He'll be happy to let you sign it. It was handled by Miss Mindy Gerard. It was handled by Scott Lopez. We assume that at least Melissa may have gotten a few of the signatures. Importantly, the vast majority of signatures, from what we have been told, and we were there just to know, to get the correct information, an awful lot of them were obtained right outside of the governmental building on January the 6th, and people were just presented with a blank page, and they were told, hey, if you oppose the zoning, sign here. They weren't even permitted to read what they were signing. We have one gentleman who has said while he did get to see it, they changed it, they altered it. They did a strike through, removed waste disposal site, and changed it to hauling any debris. They were so sloppy in this that they didn't even realize, hey, we got to change it again at the bottom of the paragraph. So even if you wanted to assert they made this change prior to, it didn't matter. People still read waste disposal site at the bottom. They successfully whipped this group, called a mob, and she got Mob Boss on the t-shirt. They want it known, this is a mob.
Yeah.
Okay? That forms the basis of why you visited with the sheriff. Although we're giving the link for the motion to compel on the Facebook post, because those are damning, we're going to repeat, we're going to insert those Facebook posts once again in this feature. We'll give the link for people to go watch the video about the Facebook post, because Billy, it's my understanding you also have filed a motion, we'll give the link for it, to reset that hearing. Am I correct? The motion to compel. All right, again, that had to be reset.
I'm not sure, but I think I just got it in the mail. I think that's March 9th. Off the top of my head, I think that's the date.
We'll look into that, but it looks like March the 9th may be the date. We'll confirm that. But as you can tell, things are moving fast, but everything got stalled because of the fact that Judge Hamilton, I think appropriately,
yes,
had a need to recuse himself, and he happened to have drawn two out of the three of your cases. So, by the way, we've got developments on that third case, and we'll be bringing that to you before long, too. So, I'll kind of consider this a wrap. You can make some concluding remarks. We will let everyone know how the hearing on the 15th goes. Go ahead. You mention whatever you'd like.
I do believe that Mr. Ike is doing the best he can to represent his clients. I mean, I doubt too often he represents someone that claiming to be a mob boss. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how often that comes. An attorney
proudly claiming, getting a T-shirt,
right,
custom made.
And I know he's going to do the best job he can. I'm an old friend of the family. These people, the sweet people, really, I know he's going to do the best he can, but I truly believe after this hearing, if things don't go the way that they would like, I have this gut feeling that he's probably going to have to flush him. I mean, there's a conflict of interest. I mean, we only asked for one discovery request of one item in these cases, not anything else. And I believe there's a conflict of interest. He has so far, both cases he's representing, the two different individuals in each case. And I believe that, eventually there's going to, I think he's trying to keep them all in lockstep, but the day is going to come that the conflict is going to pop its head up. And so I do think that after this next hearing, I wouldn't be surprised if he says, look, he can no longer represent them, because when we start, providing discovery, it is going to,
in all likelihood, it's going to become problematic.
Yes.
And I want to say one last thing that I had forgotten to mention. We're hearing some rumblings that there is a reluctance now to call out Sheriff Beckett Bro's office, for instance, incidents that occur. And they say that reluctance is because they don't want Robert Burns making a public records request and blasting it all over the internet. So the only thing I can say in conclusion of this video are 4 simple words. You're welcome, Sheriff Bro. And that'll conclude it for me. Do you have any final?
No, I think that's it.
You're welcome, Sheriff Bro. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into this Sound Off feature. We will update you on how the hearing goes once it's happened. Fortunately, I'll be able to attend this one. I was in Houston for the last one, but I will be able to witness firsthand how this one goes. Thank everyone for your dedication, for your viewership, and we'll see you again soon on Sound Off, Louisiana.